welcome everyone to episode number 29 of the COD Casuals. I'm your host, Justin.
And I'm Mike.
Mike, we got a lot to talk about here.
We don't even need to ask how we doing.
Yeah.
We're mixed emotions out here.
We got a lot to talk about, like a ton of stuff about ROSTERMANIA. And this is the first ROSTERMANIA that I think you're like pretty deep into.
Yeah.
Like focusing on every move.
Yeah.
So I hope for all the people listening and anybody that doesn't know about the CDL ROSTERMANIA, it's basically like the NFL during the off season or the NBA when all the players become like free agents or whatever.
Yeah.
And these insane trades happen. But in COD, it's wild. It's crazy.
It is the Wild West out there.
Yeah, because it's not CDL is. I mean, it is official, but it's not. Their contracts are posted and everyone announces like it on Twitter and like it's all over the news and stuff.
Yeah,
because a lot of these decisions are just made between the players, and things start to get leaked on Twitter and people start like putting out rumors and stuff.
Yeah.
It's like a reality TV show.
It really is, dude. It's drama all the time.
Yeah.
Like going on Twitter.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
I love it.
I do love it too. So I think maybe going into the MW season, I might have paid attention a little bit to it, but not too much.
Yeah.
This one is just really crazy.
It's when you unlock Twitter. That's when everything spills.
Yeah, exactly. Because this is the first year I've really had Twitter and following Call of Duty. So, yeah, if you ever want to keep up with this stuff, if you don't have a Twitter, just go and make one and start following all these players and these teams.
Yeah.
And some of the people that leak stuff like CDL Intel and Dexerto and all these people. Because the leaks just keep coming and coming.
Yeah.
And yeah, unlike other traditional sports, right, in those leagues, there's way more players. Yeah. There's a lot more money involved and everything. For this, there's really only 4 players. There are 4 players on a team, and then there's obviously some coaches and team owners and stuff. So it's a lot smaller regarding those decisions, and it's really important who you play with.
Yeah.
It's everything. So, and they're all really tight too. So, I mean, like other sports too. But that's where a lot of these decisions are just kind of happening through DMs being like, yo, what's going on with your team? You want to team up? Are you able to get out and all this stuff? Man, it's it's pretty mind blowing.
Spicy ROSTERMANIA.
It is spicy as all hell, man.
The ROSTERMANIAs I've like been a part of and just like watching and stuff. This is crazy.
Yeah,
because the other ones like in the older CODs, they're not as crazy, and I think that's just because so many of these teams would just stay together, and then a bunch of like amateur teams would just pop up, and it was just random people formed. But since this is like an official like league, right? A lot of these players being traded, being dropped, free agents, whatever. It's big. These are big name players. So I guess you want to jump into it because I got like a handful of notes written down and stuff.
Sure. What's the first thing you want to talk about here? There's so much to talk about.
Yeah.
So it's like we're gonna go off on a big tangent with a lot of these things, right?
We're gonna be all over the place.
So we want you to be kind of theorizing yourself, asking your own questions. What do you think? If you agree with us, disagree with us, let us know because it's a lot of it's speculation, which is fun. You get involved with it and just think what
your own
might
ideas.
happen.
Yeah. First thing I'll say is I'll explain what like a free agent is and unrestricted versus restricted because I know some people may not know what that is. And if you don't follow traditional sports, you might not know what that is either. So a unrestricted free agent is basically you're not tied to any organization or team, and the team's basically just letting you go like on your own. So you can go out wherever you want and choose what team you want to sign with.
Right.
And they can't hold anything against you. But a restricted free agent is the organization or team, they own the rights to you as a player, but you're still a free agent. You can just go around and, shop for different teams. But say a team you want to go to, you want to sign with that team, but then your organization you're still signed under, they're like, no.
Yeah.
Which would be shitty. Really shitty. From what we know, I don't think that's happened. Maybe it has, maybe not under the CDL, but ideally you don't want to be a restricted free agent. But some of these players are because they got dropped in the middle of their like contract or something.
Right.
And they want to test out like other teams. But ideally, I think a lot of these players you would rather be a unrestricted free agent because you can just go wherever you want.
Yeah.
You can say whatever you want.
Because when you're restricted, other teams have to, like, you can fish around, but they have to then approach your team and buy you out.
Exactly, yeah.
So then it comes down to contracts and money and how much that team is willing to let go of you for. So that's where sometimes you might be talking with a team potentially, and it could fall apart because of a money problem, not because of your individual talent and they like how much they want you.
Yeah,
your team that you're signing with, they might just not want to let you go.
Yeah, exactly.
For that price.
It just goes to upper management of like what's going to happen.
Yeah, so there's players like, I mean, we haven't heard anything about him at all from us, but someone like Hook. Right, who could be somebody who, like, technically, I guess you could say he's a free agent.
Yeah,
say he is, but he's if he's a restricted free agent.
Yeah,
someone has to approach and pay LAT a lot of money, and they're not going to let him go for like $100,000.
Yeah,
like there's no way. Like, and that is what's difficult because some teams they can't afford that, and it's a big risk. They have to pay a lot of cash, and of course, too, I would imagine to some extent these teams want to make a profit off of these players. Some of them they'll unfortunately take a loss on. But they're going to try to at least break even or make a little bit of cash.
Yeah, and like on top of that, the when like these teams are buying out contracts, if you're a restricted agent, like, they have to buy out that player's contract for the year, like the rest of the contract with that team. And then on top of that, they have to sign a contract with them for the new contract, for them signing on their team. So, for example, for Hook, if he's a restricted free agent for LAT, he technically is still signed under them, right? So if, I don't know, the Mutineers want him, they have to buy out the remainder of his contract and then sign him to another contract under the Mutineers. So that's like double the pay. You're paying Hook and you're paying LAT for selling you.
Which is tons of money.
That's a ton of money. Right?
And some of these teams, you don't really know if they can afford that.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, we won't go into details about, the back end, whatever, but I'm sure there are teams that, they structured payouts differently and stuff. They could sell this player to them for like the whole year, and they don't need to pay them up front right away. They could do like, I don't know, this year you get X amount, next year you get X amount from something like that. But basically that's what the difference between unrestricted and restricted is. Yeah,
and a lot of those teams that are going to be dealing with this is more going to be some of the top teams that are going to be doing these buyouts. I guess the main thing that we could jump into, since it's kind of on the lower side of the totem pole, is, well, 3 teams, being London Royal Ravens, Paris Legion, and LA Gorillas. Those 3 teams, they basically did a complete squad wipe, right?
Yeah.
All those, I think LA London Royal Ravens, they let go of everybody except Afro. He's the one player out of those 3 teams. He's the only guy that they've kept on their team. So obviously going to build around him. But those teams, they have a decision to make, right? Are they going to be able to afford people like these top players?
Yeah.
Chances are more likely no.
Yeah.
They're not going to be able to. And also, they're not really attractive. Those teams were were dead last.
Yeah. Or at least, maybe they can afford one veteran.
Exactly.
But
just one.
Who knows if they want to go with whatever their strategy is, if they want to sign all veterans again. Yeah. Because, some of these teams, like LAG, for example, they had Apathy, Assault, Silly, and Mental.
Yep.
That's 3 world champions right there. Assault, Apathy, and Silly.
Yep.
They just didn't work out with LAG, so do they want to sign vets again?
Mental, Gears champ.
Yeah.
Beast.
Like, do they want to, sign a bunch of amateurs or something? Or, there's just so much strategy in this and what they want to do.
Yeah, and it's interesting, too, with LAG. They went and dropped their academy team, too, which had some former pros and a couple AMs in there.
They literally wiped everyone.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know what that team is going to be like anymore.
Yeah.
I hope that those bottom teams, they don't turn into this revolving door of just players coming in and out and in and out.
Yeah, yeah.
And they can finally find their footing. And get some decent players on that team.
Yeah, I think, all these teams that squad wipe, Oh, I think we forgot to mention Seattle Surge.
Oh yeah, I think we might have mentioned Seattle
last episode.
Yeah, because they did theirs quite early.
Yeah, yeah.
And apparently they already have a new team.
Yeah.
Rumor has it they have a new team, and I have no idea who's on that team.
Yeah, I mean,
but they're in the same boat too.
Yeah,
like
I think. The thing that's tough is that LEG and Surge, for example, they have like a bad reputation because it's been 2 years and it's been 2 years of bad placings. But I don't know, I think a clean squad wipe is going to help because whoever they sign next, like, you never know. They could end up being like middle packed or something again.
Yeah. I think the team that really needed it the most and that hasn't been doing much about it was LAG.
Yeah.
LAG's had the same team for the past 2 year. And then they've had one player just they rotated in and out. They had Chino for a little bit. Then they had who they have in the beginning of the year, Vivid. They got rid of him. They put Chino in. Now they got Mentals, and they got rid of him. So they're starting from scratch, which is good. But again, I just don't know who's going to go to that team. And you're right. They could bring in a bunch of AMs, and they could just fry.
Yeah.
Because those people aren't going into a really a bad situation.
Yeah, Yeah, that's the thing. I mean,
it's just a team.
Yeah, exactly. I know. Apathy, Assault, and Silly. They came. LEG had like a different team last year in MW. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah,
they squad wiped them again last year. This year they're squad wiping the whole team again.
Yeah.
I think they just need to find like the right core of people.
Yeah.
It's not like oh, we don't know this. I'm just speculating that all these teams are, their management's, good.
Yeah.
Don't know about LAG because we've heard rumors like all over Twitter and Reddit and stuff how, it wasn't their decision to drop Vivid. It just happened.
LAG and Seattle are the two teams that people we're getting the impression that they're not very easy to work with.
Yeah, their management. So, we don't know. And if that's the case, then it's not appealing, I guess. But like LAG, that's a great location, Los Angeles.
Yeah.
Like that's a team, or location I bet a lot of players would want to live and
for sure.
represent, an LA team. But we'll see what the strategy is going in because personally, if I was like a GM, I don't think I would want to just grab a bunch of amateurs and just, pay the minimum, whatever it is, like the 50 or 60K or whatever, and then pocket the rest of the money and just save it until like something else happens because like you're trying to build a team to win. Right. You're not trying to build a team to just place all right.
Yeah. No, that's the goal with all these teams, and it depends on what lengths they're able to go to.
Yeah.
Not that they're willing, just what they're really able to.
Exactly.
And some teams are making a good decision, like London, trying to rebrand and really just be that UK that English team. Having all UK players. I think that's a good idea for them. Afro definitely was the standout player from that team. He was really good.
I'm surprised they dropped Paul X.
Yeah, I'm surprised too. Paul X was really good.
But he's North American.
Yeah.
So that, if they want to keep it all UK, that makes sense.
Yeah.
That's tough.
Yeah, I think we'll see Paul X next year. I think we'll see him, though, on one of these lower teams as well.
Yeah, like the Mutineers or something.
Yeah, well, Mutineers, I don't really know what's going to happen with them. That might be a good move for him.
Yeah.
Depending on who he teams up with. But he was a really good player coming in. Definitely one of the AMs who proved his stuff. And Afro, he was fantastic.
Yeah. Honestly, I think all the amateurs that came in, for the most part, like, fried. Minus, like, the...
Yeah, I'm trying to think then.
Fire. He came into
Fire
Paris.
was the only one that I think was a bit of a disappointment.
Yeah, because, that was tough for him coming into Paris Legion. That team was just so inconsistent.
Yeah, Fire came in. He's not an AMP. I guess he's a former pro. Decimate came in for a little bit.
Yeah.
He didn't really do much with Seattle.
He played one tournament.
Yeah, he played one tournament, and that was it.
And then he played subbed in for ASIM.
Yeah.
And then that was it.
Yeah. Diamond Con wasn't too bad for New York.
He was good, but like you're gonna be benched for Clayster.
Yeah, for sure.
You can't argue that.
No, I agree. London, they had okay players, but I think it's a good move for them going forward as an org to try to brand as being all UK and really stick to their core.
Yeah.
And then with Paris, from what we've seen, that Paris is that IP is being abandoned, or So I don't really know what's going to happen with them if they're going to be known as the Paris Legion anymore. I mean, obviously not. They're probably going to try to rebrand or sell that spot.
Yeah. So IP, for anyone that doesn't know, it stands for intellectual property. So whoever owns Paris Legion, they own the rights to like that name.
That name. Mm-hmm.
So who knows?
But now that name is not around anymore.
Yeah. If Paris Legion's gone, then maybe they're just trying to sell that spot off to like a new org.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just not Paris anymore. It could be a different like location.
Yeah.
I guess whoever the owner wants it. You know?
Yeah, I've heard it quite a few people talking about it, and I agree. Like, I wonder what the fan base is for the Paris Legion.
Yeah.
You know, like if there really is a strong core in France that really does care for Paris Legion as a team because of their location. I don't really know. I mean, I think in North America there really isn't much of a fan base for them.
I personally, I don't know. CDL, I know they're trying to be global, but if I was trying to like grow the scene, I would just have U.S. teams, just all U.S. teams, and just recruit players from like around the world, and then grow it from within North America, and then expand out.
Yeah, I think try to build up as much as you can in North America, since Call of Duty is really it's based in North America.
Yeah,
you know, most of the viewers are around there. I mean, there are definitely UK viewers.
Yeah,
but I think they're trying to target like their main areas for people that view. You know, UK has a really strong following.
Yeah,
so they got the London team, which is great. You know, yeah, I don't know what it is with Paris. I don't have those numbers or anything like that.
Yeah.
But Paris was one of those teams, they threw in a lot of people, and they really didn't perform well. They did another squad wipe. So it's going to be interesting to see if they get bought out.
Yeah.
And someone takes that spot, or they relocate.
Yeah.
Rebrand. I have no clue what's going to happen with them.
I mean, for sure we could say that the viewership in North America is way better than in France.
Yeah.
Like,
that's pretty easy to say.
Anywhere in America.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, we want to clarify, like, we don't know all the free agents yet, because most of the news that we hear, it's all over Twitter. Like, these players will announce if they're free agents or not, and then that's when, you know, all the rumors start flying, like what's happening.
Yeah.
But I guess we can, one topic that I have to start off with a banger, Crimsix from the Dallas Empire. He announced that he was a restricted free agent for them.
Crimsix and Vivid, both those guys. Vivid's not as much of a, like, say, a shocker, but yeah, Crim, insane.
Yeah,
that I was mind blown. I was truly mind blown when I heard that Crim was dropped. So he's for going back to what we were talking about before, he's a restricted free agent,
and I'm pretty sure Vivid's unrestricted.
Yeah. So just going again, right? Vivid, he can shop wherever he wants and get picked up, you know, within a matter of days. Just it's some simple contract stuff with him. It's really up to him and the team.
Yeah.
Crimsix, there's going to be a lot of negotiation between him.
A little more complicated.
Yeah, and it doesn't surprise me because Crim is Crim. I mean, he's the best. Statistically, he's the best COD player of all time. Yeah. He's worth a fat check.
Yeah.
Because he's one of the most winning. He is the winningest COD player ever. You know, teams are going to want him. Any team that has Crim on them, they're going to instantly be better.
Yeah, they're going to do well.
Yeah,
veteran like that, 3-time world champion.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. He's a free agent. Whether I don't think it was by his decision, but he got third place at champs. You know, not bad at all. But some of those teams wish that they could get third place. But for him and for what they expect, like the expectations of that team, that's not good enough.
Not good enough. Yeah,
you know?
Exactly.
They won last year, so if it's not that, it's not good enough.
Exactly. And Crim being a restricted free agent that was mind blowing to everyone, because it seemed like he was caught off guard too. Yeah. Because I mean, in an interview. You're talking about, like, he was like, I'm glad I don't have to deal with free agency stuff, because it's just annoying.
It was during champs he was talking about that. Someone had asked him,
and now
he was happy that he wasn't gonna have to deal with that crap during the off season because he get to relax and all that. But then he gets this bomb dropped. And I was.
And for anybody that doesn't know, the owner of Empire, Hastro, he from the switch from MW to Cold War, it was 5v5 to 4v4, and Clayster on the Dallas Empire was dropped, and Hastro did the same thing with Clay and, like, let him go super early, and he did, you know, obviously the same thing to Crim, because it gives them time to go and seek out other options.
Yeah.
Because if Hasbro just like didn't let them know and just kept them, not even in the loop, a lot of these players probably would have figured out teams already.
Yeah. So it gives him plenty of time to go fish around and see what he can find and what teams are going to be wanting him.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was pretty shocking because I would imagine, obviously, Crim's the leader of that team. And he didn't play his greatest year of COD. That's definitely a fact.
Yeah.
Shotzzy played out of his mind this whole year, which is kind of par for the course with that guy.
Yeah.
Illy had a decent year. Vivid came in late, but he proved himself. It was just really surprising to see him dropped. And with the market and everything we'll talk about later, I don't really know where he's going to end up. I think that's the biggest news or the question is, where is he going to go? Where can he go?
Exactly, yeah. Because, I don't think it's a question. Every team's interested in him.
Yeah.
Like, I think any team would be dumb not to even explore the option to sign him if they can.
Yeah.
And then it's the decision if he even wants to go to that team.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Crim is the player that you would definitely drop people on your team to take him.
Yeah, exactly.
Like you would get rid of other players to put him in there.
Yeah.
Because he's just that freaking good.
Yeah. Sounds crazy, I bet some of anybody listening that isn't that familiar with the CDL, but Crim is it's one of those players where if he's on the market, you cannot just pass that up.
Yeah,
you have to look at it.
What do you think he got to be worth? Like over $500,000?
Yeah, definitely. 3-time world champion, and
he's got the most championships.
Yeah, he third at champs this year. Last year was a world champ. And we're going into Vanguard, which is on the MW engine.
Yeah, which probably he won.
It doesn't
always translate that way, but still, it's a good calling for it.
Yeah, he's a vet. Like, he can lead a team.
Yeah.
So
he knows so much about the game. And that's what we were talking about before, right? Some of these teams, man, they're going to have to make big financial decisions here to see if they're going to be able to shell out that cash for him. Because he is worth that much for sure. He's got to be worth $500,000 or more.
Yeah. And a guy like Crim, you give him whatever he wants.
Yeah.
Like, for the most part. Like, whatever teammates he wants, you do your best and try to sign them.
Right.
Because he can make it work, clearly. He can make it work.
So that's what I don't know is going to happen. And people are speculating where he's going to go. If he's going to end up on a team with Clayster, is he going to end up... I can't even imagine where he's going to end up.
There's so many possibilities.
Yeah.
Like, so many rumors fly around, guys, like all over Reddit. If you guys are beginners and don't really understand the scene a lot, don't go to Reddit because it's just a nightmare over there. Just follow Twitter and you can speculate, whatever you want. But it's a bunch of drama.
Yeah. No, it is a ton of drama, and some of it's a lot of crazy takes, like crazy hot takes.
Yeah. But
at the same time, man, at this point, you really don't know. Like,
we don't know.
You could say the craziest things right now that just seem out of your mind.
Yeah.
But it could happen.
Yeah. Like these bottom 4 teams, right? That you mentioned. If they want, I'm sure like Seattle or LAG, they could shell out the money to get Crim.
Yeah.
And invest in that one player to build around.
Yeah.
And I don't think it'd be crazy to see Crim go to Seattle or LAG. And, if he gets the players that he wants, he's going to be the lead of that organization.
Yeah. That's a big risk.
Yeah.
And that's going to be a big change for those teams because they're going to have to pay a ton of cash.
Yeah.
But hopefully over time they're going to have to do that, and he's going to have to stick with that team for a while, build that team up.
Yeah, and this is me saying, like, all that stuff, expecting that management's treating, like, all the players right.
Yep.
Like, we don't know the back end how they're being treated or not, but, I see no reason for a big-name player like Crim not to go to Surge or LAG. That's, like, first of all, he's from Seattle. Yeah. Second, like, if you want to go to LA, it's LA. A lot of players want to be in LA.
Yep.
But it depends how management's treating him, and the players, what players
Would
he wants.
Would he go to LAT?
That's the thing. LAT, he could.
I don't know.
I think
under Nadeshot.
Yeah, I think JCap and Mud Dog and Nadeshot, they have to be looking at these players
for sure.
Like, they're not dumb.
Well, the only thing too is that they have Hook on LAT, so I don't know if that would work because I don't think Crim and Hook get along very well.
Well, that's the thing for now. We don't know like what Hook's situation is.
Exactly. Hook could be let go. We have no idea.
like I would assume Hook is a restricted free agent because LAT bought him out from Dallas.
Yeah.
So what if they did like a swap?
Yeah, right.
It's not like a trade.
Bring him back.
Yeah.
Well, we'll get to that in a little bit since that's a whole other can of worms that makes everything more complicated.
And I'll point out too, Mike and I are probably gonna go on tangents because there's so many rumors and possibilities.
That's the thing, man. That's what's so fun about it. Is that it just all these big things happen, and it just opens up for discussion.
Yeah.
You're like. You start to I mean that's when everyone becomes a self-proclaimed COD expert.
Yeah.
You know, and you're just thinking about like, man, what are these guys gonna have? It's gonna be so weird to see him in another jersey.
Yeah, different colors.
Yeah, I mean, and a good segue into another guy who we think is gonna be crazy to see in other colors is Dylan Envoy.
Exactly.
From Chicago OpTic.
Yeah.
Dropped.
Yep.
Crazy.
Unrestricted free agent too.
Yeah. Oh my God. Man. I don't even know. My mind was blown. I couldn't even believe it. He's gone. He is no longer on the team. Yep. He's the last guy I thought they would, other than Scump. Mm-hmm. You know, because we obviously know. Scump is literally undroppable. You can't get rid of Scump. Yeah. Scump's gonna.
He's leaving when he retires.
Yeah, exactly. There's no way he'll ever.
Yeah.
He'll never leave that team, or he'll ever get dropped.
Yeah.
And Envoy did pretty well this year.
Yeah, he did. He did really well. I mean. He was inconsistent at times.
Yeah.
But the whole team was, right?
Yeah.
Statistically, like I think he played pretty well. There are times in majors where there are some plays that I don't know. It didn't look like he should have made.
Yep.
But that's hindsight. But going back to Scump for a little bit, that guy, like, he proved his worth, and I remember so many people saying like he was washed this season. Mm-hmm. And I would say like he was the best player on that team this whole year.
Yeah, and for sure at Champs too. He
fried.
He went off at Champs. His team costed him. Mm-hmm. Plain and simple. His team just didn't play as well as they should have.
Yeah.
They didn't play as well as a team.
Yeah.
And Envoy's been pretty damn good all year. Like you said, there were some points for sure where he had hard moments, but all these guys did.
Yeah.
And he's always been dubbed as the, Scump's the king and Envoy's the prince.
Prince, yeah.
I remember they were asking in interviews, going to be filling the shoes of Scump at OpTic for when he retires and being that guy. Mm-hmm. And obviously that has not come to fruition. Yeah. He's gone.
Well, it's crazy. Envoy, like, he's a crazy player. He is really good.
Yeah.
Because, it probably didn't look like it while he was on OpTic, I guess, like playing against some of these other teams. But I would put him up there as one of the top SMGs with like Abizi and Sim.
Yeah.
He is a very smart player. And like we can't forget, he was the guy that clutched the 1v1 in MW against TJ.
Saved him.
Saved the team.
Yeah.
Like he did that.
Yeah.
That's history. And he fried in MW. Like he was definitely like their best player in MW.
Yeah, no, he's an amazing player, and I think the question and probably why they might have dropped him is just does his play style fit in with that team?
Yeah.
Like he for sure is at that level where if he's got the right duo, they can really work some together, and he can be at that Simp and Abizi level.
Yeah.
But that's what makes those guys so good is they just play off each other so well.
Yeah.
They are like those guys are like ham and cheese, bro. They're just they're like perfect for each other.
They're never breaking apart. The only way is if, there's personal issues between them, or if like, Abizi or Simp, they get offered a contract that you can't turn down.
Yeah. I think that's definitely part of it, and maybe at some point they would want to prove their worth by themselves.
Yeah.
I can't imagine that happening anytime soon.
Yeah.
I think if I'd be a crystal ball right now, I think those guys will for sure surpass the 3 rings that Clay and Crim have.
Yeah.
I think they're like 9 years old and they've already got 2 rings.
It's hard to break up when you're winning.
Yeah, it is.
There's no reason to if you're going to keep winning.
Yeah.
It's like man. But with this
what happens, dude, sorry to cut you off, man, everybody loses at some point.
Yeah, at some point, yeah.
That's going to be a weird day.
Yeah. Envoy, with him being dropped, it's so weird because we've only seen him like under OpTic technically, just in green.
Yeah, Because in the CWL, he was under Gen G.
Yeah, he was under Gen G and Midnight.
Yeah.
And, I mean, he was disgusting.
Yeah, but he wasn't super well known.
Yeah.
So now he's really become a face of the CDL because that's
OpTic.
what happens when you're in OpTic. You become that guy.
Mm-hmm.
And all the accolades that was coming with him and pressure, for sure.
Yeah.
But, yeah, he's gone. He's a unrestricted free agent.
Yeah. So he can do whatever he wants.
He has no ties with OpTic anymore.
I heard
took the name out of his bio.
I know.
Took the name out of his bio.
Scump on stream, he said that he had that conversation with Dylan, the Envoy, and which, man, that's a tough conversation. I'm sure. I mean, Scump's done it so many times already. Like, he's a captain, you have to do that.
Mm-hmm.
But he said that Envoy, he knew a day before he announced it, and he just didn't want to announce it because Scump was on stream, and he didn't want to blow up Twitter and all of his fans just attack him basically on stream. So shout out to Envoy for that, because that's respectable.
Yeah.
So because if he said that he was a free agent while Scump was streaming, the amount of people coming into Scump's stream would be crazy.
Oh yeah,
just nuts. Why do you do that? Yeah. You guys are awful. You're stupid.
Well, you know what's so stupid, man, and it bothers me is, look, OpTic had a bad year for the most part, right?
Yeah.
Call it like it is,
yeah.
Right? We're huge OpTic fans. We want those guys to succeed. Where they should be, it was not where they should be.
Yeah, the
right?
average placing was 4th.
Yeah, right.
Which is, I mean, that's good for a lot of other teams, not good for OpTic.
Yeah, and especially with the caliber of players they got on
exactly,
there,
yeah.
Right? And the casters are saying it, and I think, towards the end, especially with their placing of champs being bad, we were talking about it. It's what does that team do?
Yeah.
They've got some of the greatest players of all time on that team, but they just, for whatever reason, they don't click together.
Yeah.
You know? And what does that come down to? Is that just, they talk about, they don't play the same as they do in scrims? Is it something else? What's the problem there? And you got to make that decision. Do they stick together for another year and just hope and pray that it works this year?
Yeah.
Or do you make a change? And people are it bothers me. People all the time, man, you got to make a change. You got to make a change. Drop these guys. Drop that guy. Then they drop them. What the hell, man? Why did you drop those guys? What? It's dude.
Well, what are you supposed to do?
It's tough. It's tough to see that happen. But man, I mean, I trust those guys.
Yeah.
If that's what they think, what do I know compared to Scump?
They're the players.
Yeah,
they know what they're doing
exactly.
And the all the people saying that about OpTic too, they're not true OGs, because honestly, OpTic, they place average for a long time.
Yeah.
The only good run that they really had, honestly, was the Dynasty.
Yeah.
In AW, and Infinite Warfare only.
Yeah.
That was it, to be completely honest. BO3, they played really well, but they still didn't win.
Yeah.
And that was the only time where OpTic honestly was winning a lot.
Mm-hmm.
They have a ton of championships for COD, but other than that, they just place third a lot.
Yeah.
So
hopefully with, they dropped Envoy, and I guess the other point that we can touch on too, that was big news that happened, is their other player, Formal, retiring.
Yep.
Announcing his official retirement from competitive Call of Duty, that's massive.
Bomb drop.
Yeah, that was a real bomb.
Mm-hmm.
That was tough.
Yeah, that was tough for a lot of players.
And tough for fans.
Yeah. I mean, Formal, me personally, I thought they were going to drop him.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure he knows, he hasn't been playing like he has been since the AW season and Infinite Warfare.
Yeah.
Jetpack CODs. He was crazy at Infinite Warfare. He was nuts.
Mm-hmm.
But ever since then, he honestly hasn't looked the same.
Yeah.
Because he left OpTic in after IW. No, at World War II. They dropped him.
Yeah, and he played for Luminosity.
Yeah, he went to LG. Neither team won anything.
Yeah.
And then Black Ops 4, he won one championship in Black Ops 4, but it's not he looked insane or anything.
Yep.
And then, comes back to OpTic, and they still not doing anything.
Yeah.
So, it was a shock that he was retiring, but I thought he was a player that should have been, dropped.
Yeah, based off of performances.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, of course, he had those pop-off moments, and they all did, but that's the thing is, like, they'd have those really highs, and then they'd have those real lows.
Yeah, exactly,
you know? And it just, sometimes it would work out in those big moments where they would place well, and then other times it wouldn't happen.
Yeah, and I was just looking based off, like, consistency.
Which is what you need.
Envoy, I mean, you know, he had those times, like, some of the plays he made, like we were talking about, were questionable.
Yep.
And it was always questionable plays at the worst time possible for him.
Yep.
But, like, he played really well. Like, definitely better than Formal.
Yeah.
And Dash, you know, he had his bad times too, but he popped off a lot when they needed him to.
Yeah.
Scum played well. So, I mean, I definitely thought Formal was going to be the one that was leaving, which was crazy to say because...
And to even imagine, because just like with all these guys, we're like, where is he going to go?
Exactly, yeah. And so when he announced, like, retirement, like, that sucks. Like, it's a big hit for the scene, and it was sad to see. But he said in his, you know, that twit longer that, you know, it doesn't feel the same anymore. Which I gotta respect that, because if you're not putting your all into it and it's not good for you anymore, like, you gotta call it. Because it's hurting your teammates if you're not putting your all. Yeah.
No, that's perfectly said. You know, I think his in his twit longer, which he put on Twitter, and you can go read it. I mean, side note too, it shows how popular he was, man. That tweet got, I think, over 50,000 likes.
Yeah,
it was a big deal.
Yeah,
because he's one of the faces of the scene. Like, you're gonna argue that him and Scump are like some of the biggest people. In Call of Duty.
They're the duo. T2P.
They are the duo. Yeah,
retired.
Yeah, I mean, he had an amazing Halo career and Call of Duty career. You know, just a whole FPS career in general. I think it's good that he does that. It's obviously hard, and it's going to be a tough transition for him. But he put in there too. He's been interested in doing content because he's had so much fun doing the podcast at the Hex Quarters. And man, I couldn't agree more. I mean, dude, he is hilarious. He's so funny.
Yeah.
Regardless of anything, like when he's talking about Call of Duty, he's so funny.
Yeah.
I think he's gonna crush it in content.
Yeah.
He did so well in streaming anyway. Like, he would barely stream. Like, just once in a while he'd turn it on, and he'd make a killing.
Yeah. And on top of that, like, you could just see how happy he was on camera.
Yeah.
Just like doing the podcast. And there was one podcast, he was like, oh, yo, I got a scrim.
Yeah.
And he left, but like he was playing like Valorant or something.
Yeah.
He didn't go and scrim, which, I mean, maybe they just caught him off guard that day or something, but like, he just wants to play other games. Man, it's hard when you're playing 8 to 10 hours a day of the same game, and he's nasty at other games, and like, he just wants to enjoy other games and just play for fun. You know, now he can do that as a content creator.
I think we just as, you know, casual fans and casual players too, don't quite understand that.
Yeah.
You know, like, the hustle for playing competitive is extreme.
Yeah.
You know, that's why a lot of these guys are young and they retire pretty young, because it's such a mental grind and toll on you. You know, I mean, we've talked about it. Like, an insane day for us is like 8 hours. Like, and I mean, how often does that happen? Like, pretty much never.
It has to be on like a weekend. Yeah, where both of us were not doing anything
at all, and there's double XP.
Well, that's the thing.
That helps.
That's like a whole new thing. Like, there has to be a goal. For us, and for them, their goal is it's a career and winning that championship.
You know, and that's a tiring day. Like, man, you're beat mentally and physically just doing that. You're like, whew, man, can you imagine doing that every single day? I mean, and he's been doing it for, what do you say, 11 years?
11 years,
Yeah. I mean, the amount of hours he's put into just those games is insane. And he does so well on the content side and can play more games and enjoy himself and work on his own schedule. It's hard to fight that. That's what you really want to do.
Yeah, exactly. And
so, I think it's great.
Yeah, no, I'm all for it, because he's funny, and if he's going to kill it in content, like, that's not even a question.
Yeah.
And that, you know, that gives room for OpTic to, you know, find more players. And I want to point out, too, that Formal's not leaving OpTic.
Yeah, I was going to say, too, good point.
Still under OpTic, just as a content creator now.
Yeah.
So it's still part of the green wall, just, you know, he's just doing something different.
He's going to be like Big Timer, like Embos, like Karma.
Yeah.
Yeah, all those guys.
Karma, so half of the Dynasty team
is gone.
Is retired.
But they're still under OpTic, though.
Which is
Karma
funny.
and Formal are, which is funny.
I bet you Hex is going to try to get Crim just when he retires, sign him under OpTic.
Just be like, yo, just chill with us.
Just keep the whole Dynasty team.
Yeah, that'd be pretty dope.
That'd be awesome.
And finally get that episode 100 going at some point.
Yeah, right? Stomp that beef.
Yeah, right. Yeah, so that was, tying in with some of the CDL stuff, that was a big deal. Obviously, like, Envoy retiring, Envoy retiring, I'm faded. Envoy getting, when he got dropped, Crim's not going to go to that team still because it doesn't really make sense. Envoy's a sub, Crim's an AR. Yeah. It's not going to happen. Plus, Crim and Formal have beef.
Yeah.
Then Crim, or Formal retiring, now it's like, oh, well, that could potentially be something.
Yeah.
That could happen.
Yeah. And you get...
and then of course,
we'll talk about that.
We'll talk about a bigger bomb.
Yeah, after this.
Yeah,
but from our perspective, or my perspective, right? What Envoy announced that he was dropped first.
Yeah,
and like we didn't know anything about Formal retiring until later that day.
Yeah,
but I was like, what? Like they dropped Envoy and they kept Formal.
Yeah,
and I was like, all right, Formal, Dashy, and Scump. That's still a crazy team, but I was like,
who are they gonna put in that spot?
Yeah, I'm like, they really dropped Envoy. Yeah, like a crazy sub.
Yeah, and people are talking about who going in there. Yeah. I mean, just spitballing anybody who's a good sub. John,
and then Formal retired, and I was like, okay. That makes a little more sense because now half the team's gone.
Yeah.
They kept Scump and Dashy. But we can roll into the big rumor that everyone's talking about.
Yeah, right.
There could be a potential merger between OpTic and the Dallas Empire.
Yeah, which is insane.
That's crazy. So the rumor is OpTic Chicago will no longer be OpTic Chicago. They're going to be moving over to Dallas, and the Dallas Empire name will be retiring, and it's going to be whatever they want to name it, Dallas OpTic, OpTic Dallas, whatever. But the whole reasoning behind this is, to make the story short, Hex, he owns OpTic Chicago, but OpTic Chicago is under the team Energy, which is owned by Andy Miller.
Yep.
And Hex, ever since he reacquired OpTic, I think everybody knew he wants it to himself.
Yep.
And we've heard rumors that he's trying to part ways from Energy and Andy.
Yep. And
this potential merger with Envy would be parting ways with Energy, but he would be moving under Envy.
Yeah.
And he'd be working with one of his old friends, Hastra, which is the owner of Envy, and they're like best friends.
Yep.
So this rumor is just crazy, and from what it seems like, it seems like it's going to be true. Obviously, we don't know yet, but a lot of the players that are talking about it, they're talking like it's true.
Yeah.
Like they're not even questioning it.
Yeah.
They just add that. They add at the end of the video. Well, as we all know, it's still a rumor, so we don't know.
Right.
But everyone's talking like they know it's true.
Yeah, and we've seen some things come out too, like we just saw today, the day we're recording this, about the OpTic Chicago name. Was it being
OpTic Gaming?
Yeah,
LLC.
OpTic Gaming.
Yeah,
being canceled or terminated.
Yeah,
right?
their corporation under Energy.
Yeah, right, which is their whole parent company right now that they're under. So we've seen that happening, which is pointing to this merger actually happening.
Mm-hmm.
And then obviously it would make sense because with 2 players on OpTic being dropped and 2 players on Dallas being dropped, that would be a perfect fit for 2 players and 2. You get 4. Boom, there it is. You get the OpTic Empire, or that was the Dallas OpTic or OpTic Dallas,
OpTic
whatever
Dallas.
you get.
Yeah, that sounds better. OpTic Dallas.
Yeah.
And it's like being detectives, right? On Twitter, everyone's like, "Oh my god!" Like looking through Twitter. Hitch, he posted like a picture, and it was like a picture of OpTic, and it was like, "We're not leaving," or something like that.
Yeah, I saw that. He's like, "Not like OpTic staying. Trust."
Yeah.
So I don't know. They seem pretty confident in that.
Yeah.
And I guess Hex, I'm sure he, learned his lesson from what happened. Not really being his problem or his causing,
Yeah.
But I'm sure he knows that he's not going to let that happen again.
Yeah.
What happened under who was the people? Yeah, Immortals.
Yeah. With OGLA.
Yeah, with OpTic Gaming LA.
Yeah.
So I think teaming up with Hastro, both those guys they're grassroots teams. They started from scratch.
Yeah.
And they care more about their teams than anything.
They've been doing this since day one.
Yeah.
So, two best friends merging two of the biggest like COD organizations
to take
in the
down
world.
Atlanta fans.
Yeah. And I think both of them would be dumb to retire the OpTic name. That's not happening. I'm not even questioning that. Like OpTic is staying that name.
Yeah.
And they'd be going under Envy. And the only reason why I say that is just because, like, Envy, they already took, like, the Envy name out, and they kept Dallas Empire.
Yeah.
So I think they're fine getting rid of the Dallas Empire and keeping OpTic instead.
Yep.
But this is just, it's nuts. That team, so the team, if this happens, Scump, Dashy, Illy, and Shotzi.
Yeah. Whack-ass
What
team.
a crazy team.
Whack-ass team.
The veteran Scump and, like, still rookies.
Yeah.
Some going to their sophomore, junior year, but, like, it's crazy.
Yeah. It's weird to call Shotzi and Illy rookies when they're COD champions, and Dashy is not a champion.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's so weird because they've only been playing now for their second year in the CDL.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough one. I mean, I think on paper that team seems nasty, and it's weird. Everyone's always pointing. I don't know if this is like a hot take or not. Everyone's calling out Illy being like the odd man out in that team. I don't know. I just don't see him being like that bad compared to everybody's saying.
Illy's gonna be the scapegoat.
Yeah,
he's just gonna be because Scump's a superstar. We've all seen what Shotzi can do.
Yeah, I think. I would say Shotzi's the superstar on that team for sure. Scump's the name for sure.
Yeah, the name. Yeah, but and then you can argue Dashy's just like crazy.
Yeah,
like he can pull off the craziest shit.
Yeah,
and Illy's just. Illy's good. He's a world champ, right? But first of all, he's pretty quiet. No one really knows like much about his like personal life and stuff and his background.
And Shotzi too.
Yeah, but at least Shotzi has that superstar like movement and talent.
Right,
and everyone like knows him about that.
Right.
But like Illy, especially this year, like he did not pop off this year.
No, it wasn't his best of a year for him, for sure.
He was very, very mediocre.
Yeah.
Compared to what he did last year.
Mm-hmm.
And that was just because, the role that he had to play on the team.
Yeah.
But I expected way more from him this year.
Yeah. So hopefully maybe this team that they have here, if this, again, we're over here, if this does happen and this is the team, it'll be a better team for him to thrive in and a better role. Mm-hmm. I think Illy, he came from the S&D scene, so he's got the brains in that aspect, and that's what OpTic tended to struggle with too. They were a good respawn team, but their searches is what they struggled in.
Yeah.
So hopefully with Illy, if it does happen, he would be vital to that search and destroy aspect.
Yeah. That's why I expected him to play better, because I expected him to bring that S&D talent to Empire this year.
Yeah, but it didn't happen as much.
Didn't happen, yeah. But he played with Dashy back in Black Ops 3.
Yeah.
And like
so they're boys.
A bunch of tourneys and stuff. So these guys,
they go back.
Yeah, S&D superstars.
Yeah. So I don't know. On paper it seems like it's gonna be a dope team. And for sure both guys they want to win chips.
Yeah.
Hastro, that's always his joke is, we're not here to sell hoodies and all that. You're here to win championships.
Yeah.
Two guys who they have similar philosophies but different philosophies. Envy doesn't really do much regarding like Envy, right, which is the parent team of Dallas Empire, right? They own them. They don't really do a lot in the content department.
Yeah. Especially for COD.
Yeah. So there's not a lot known about their COD team. When it was Vivid and all those guys, both years, didn't know much about them, just their prior experience. And they always focus on winning, and their success rate's pretty damn high. They just came off winning COD champs last year, and they got third this year. OpTic always focuses on the content. That's like priority number one. Yeah. And I can see why, because that's what they're setting up their players to eventually do when they realize they hanging up like formal, right? Yeah. And I think that's what's so damn good about it, is because think about like what Hex and what OpTic has done for formal. Yeah.
Think about all the players that have left OpTic and look at what they're doing now. Yeah. Like I think a great example is Methods. He joined OpTic for like a stint in World War II, and because of that, like a large part of his following is like the Green Wall. Yeah. And Methods is really funny and stuff, and I'm sure he would thrive in content creation. But like, we don't know how he would do if he never joined OpTic. Yeah,
Methods is one of those guys. Octane. Teep is one of those guys. Yeah. Octane. Yeah, Teep's now under Envy. Yeah. But I'm sure a lot of people too, like all the OpTic people love him because he was under OpTic. Same thing with Arcides.
Yeah.
Like people, like we root for Arcides because he was an OpTic guy. He was under our Huntsman, you know?
Yeah. And it's funny because all these haters like hate on OpTic, but once these like I kind of want to say like Slasher a little bit because he hates on like all the OpTic fans a little bit.
Right.
Not hates on them, but like jokes about them.
Yeah.
But if he joined OpTic, like he's gonna get that OpTic juice.
Yeah.
And people are gonna start liking him.
Yeah.
And wherever you go, it's like the supporters are still gonna be
they'll
like
they'll always follow you. Yeah. We're still gonna support Envoy because he was on OpTic. You know?
Exactly.
And we got to see him in the content and see what he's like and enjoy him as a person. And I think that's what they do a lot with these people is they try to really bring out their personality. So if this does happen and they end up doing stuff with Shotzi and Illy, which I mean that'd be so crazy to think that happens.
I know.
Like
I think this would be a perfect relationship because I agree with Hex's, the way that he's doing it is, grow your brand, grow yourself, because I think of OpTic as more of like a family company, right? Like everybody in OpTic for the most part, like they're all tight, they're all friends, and if you leave, like you'll be with OpTic.
Yeah.
And they want everyone in the scene to thrive. Like, I don't know, because like Hex said, Formal, what if he was never under OpTic at all?
Yeah, exactly.
Ever. And he just stayed under like a different team. No one would know about him. And the scene wouldn't have grown as much.
Yeah, only the real hardcore people would really care about him, because you wouldn't really get to see his personality as much.
Yeah, exactly. And with, a lot of the other players like Octane, like we know he's really good, but the fact that he was under OpTic and he did like a few videos with OpTic and now he's a content creator, like
you get that juice.
Yeah, like and with OpTic, like all the fans, there are some like hardcore OpTic fans that just only support OpTic, which I get, but like I would say the majority of OpTic fans like want the scene to grow, like us.
Yeah,
we want the CDL to grow into something huge.
Yeah.
And OpTic's doing that by getting like all these names out. So I think, partnering up with Empire or Envy, whatever, a team that is built for championships, and then a team that does content and wins a lot of championships, that's a great relationship.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's two philosophies that are, they're both correct. For what they want, and they got the right goals. And if you combine them together, that's like the ultimate,
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, that's what FaZe is trying to do. Like, obviously, their goal is to win championships, but even some of their players, we're starting to get them a little bit more, to know them as they play and they get more comfortable.
Yeah.
But, I mean, dude, truth be told, they're still, like, we don't really know those guys that well.
Yeah.
But,
like... both strategies work. It's just, I would say...
It's the difference of how you run it.
Yeah. I would say for FaZe, like, I'm not going to say the only reason, but a big part of why aBeZy, Simp, Celium, and Arcides are big.
Yeah.
It's just because they're winning so much.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why everyone knows that, right?
No, I agree. I agree.
FaZe, they've been making content for a long time. Not those guys, but like just FaZe Clan in general.
Yeah.
Like they grew up on YouTube with OpTic.
Yeah.
So these guys making content, like it's great.
Yeah.
aBeZy has his own channel now. Simp's been like trying to grind out content.
Yeah, which is great.
Yeah, Arcides, he's funny on camera. He was on the Huntsman.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I think that's what is tough for some of these guys is to be thinking while you're playing. Think about when you're going to be done.
Yeah.
You know, because in the moment you're just winning all the time, and you're like, and you're 21, 20 years old. You're like, bro, what?
I'm never gonna stop.
Yeah, like I'm not gonna stop anytime soon.
Yeah.
But then that's when Rostermania says otherwise, and you're like, you're the odd man out. You're going to go to a team where you're not, you're at a lesser team, not going to play as well. Stock goes down, and then you might be done.
Yeah, exactly. And those guys, they can't think of like, I don't know. It's hard to think when you're going to retire and hang up the sticks.
Yeah.
But you just got to go into it like it's a whole separate job.
It is.
And that's why everybody that complains about Scump, like, dude, Scump does like 4 different jobs.
Yeah.
He is a representative for a bunch of brands. He's a competitor. He streams, and he fulfills like partnerships.
Yeah.
And like he's in everyone's videos and stuff. Like that dude's like an animal. He does so much stuff.
Yeah, he does so much, and he still is at a high level with all those things.
Exactly.
You know? I mean, the content obviously goes down when he's competing, but that's for obvious reasons. It's just not possible.
Yeah.
But Yeah, I mean it's going to be crazy time back with this merger if this does happen. And again, most of the signs are pointing to this happening. I think it's great. I'm excited for it if it does happen because
Me too.
I think it's two great minds coming together, and there's no real like people always talk about like the OpTic. What's the rivalry called again? I can't
The
even
E
remember.
Classico.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You know,
between Envy and OpTic.
yeah.
It'll be gone, but
But I think it'd be cool if
It'd be
they,
cool.
yeah. I think I'm excited for it if it does happen. I think those are 4 players that we never would ever think are going to play together, and the fact that they may play together is insane.
And yeah, the only possibility for them to play together, honestly, like is this.
Yeah, exactly,
right?
exactly.
Like, Envoy, I don't think personally, like I don't think they would drop Envoy if they did not have like a crazy plan. Like Shotzi is one of those players where I would say, yeah, you have to drop Envoy to get Shotzi.
Well, that's the whole thing, right? That's the whole thing when I think about this, like with this happening, or these rumors coming out of this merger, is exactly what you're talking about, bro. Is I think like why would they drop him?
Yeah.
Other than something massive like this. Like,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Like, if I have the choice over Envoy or Shotzi, I'm picking Shotzi.
Yeah.
Like, no
Yeah.
disrespect to Envoy.
Yeah.
I mean, like, it comes out that way. But, like, you know what I mean? He's
Yeah.
just, you can't not pass up
Yeah.
on Shotzi.
Just seeing how Shotzi plays, yeah. Or like, Simple or Beezy. Like what those guys, like if you have the opportunity to pick up a Beezy or Simp, like you're doing it.
Yeah. I mean, dude, it's just like I was saying earlier with, like, Crim. Like, it's Scump, Shotzi, Clay, and Crim.
Yeah.
Those are 4 guys, and Simp and Abizi, right?
Yeah.
So 6 guys. Those are guys that you drop people and you make radical changes to your team to get those guys
Yeah.
if you can.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
And obviously the Atlanta FaZe team, again, fingers crossed, as far as we know, that team
Yeah.
is not changing. That would be whack if that
Yeah.
team changed.
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to change. There's no reason for them to.
Yeah. No reason.
No reason at all.
Unless someone got offered like $1 million contract or something.
Cash, right?
Yeah.
But still, that then leaves those 4 guys, right? Shotzi, Scump, Crim, and Clay.
Yeah.
And you would do anything to change those, like to change your team around those guys because they're gonna elevate your team to the next level.
Yeah. And to add more drama into this, it's just I love like Rostermania because there's drama in so many COD storylines, right?
Yeah.
So for any of you like new listeners, so Crimsix, he was on the OpTic Dynasty,
Right.
And he was dropped in World War II,
Right.
And he stayed with Scump. Formal was dropped first, but then Crimsix got dropped, right? Then Formal came back after
Right.
Black Ops 4. Crim was dropped in Black Ops 4. And then after Champs ended, Scump met up with the Formal. It was like, yo, we were both losing. We got to team up again.
Right.
They had beef, whatnot. And Crim, he went to Dallas Empire, a whole different team. And everybody was like, oh, shit, revenge tour, right?
Yep.
And then Empire, they won COD Champs. OpTic was like, well, fuck.
Yeah.
D2P came back. They didn't win anything.
Yeah.
But now, out of nowhere, Crim's dropped. And he could be dropped because Scump's taking over his whole team.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. Like,
Yeah.
that's just so much drama, like, stirring up.
It is so much. And to think what'll happen too with Clayster and with Clayster and Crim.
Yeah.
Are they going to team up again?
Yeah.
They won champs together. Clay wasn't really happy in his role having to, babysit and teach 3 players.
Yeah.
You could tell obviously because of his break, he was frustrated with that.
Yeah.
Does he stay with that team?
Yeah, exactly.
And does Crim be like, yo, dude,
let's do it.
Fucking run it up.
Let's just leave, go to a whole new team. Imagine.
Yeah. They go and imagine they go to LAG.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like they could go anywhere. Like one of these teams, like they could just shell out a ton of money for those 2 players. If you put those 2 players together, you're winning something. You have to.
Yeah, that's the problem though. Like going like back to the beginning, right? Is are there teams that can even afford those
That can
guys?
do that,
yeah.
Yeah.
Like that's the thing. Like you could imagine, like that would be insane if they did go to one of those teams. But like, can they afford them? Probably not.
And if those teams like even want to do that, that's the thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Their
so
strategy. So
it's tough. I don't know where they would go. If they would go, like Crim would go to New York, and they would drop one of their players on there. I have no idea.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's the thing. It's tough too because going into new CODs, like you don't know if it's gonna be 2 ARs or 2 subs,
right?
The meta, or it's gonna be 1 AR and 3 subs.
Yeah,
and it really depends because both Clay and Crim are main ARs for people that don't know, but I don't know. That'd be crazy if those two teamed up again.
Yeah.
There's just so many potential rumors. I know you and I went on like a big tangent over Crim and OpTic, but like those are like major news.
Yeah,
More retiring, Envoy being dropped, Crim being a free agent. There have been some more moves. Oh, I mean, we're gonna do multiple episodes about
right, and as it keeps developing, we'll be doing episodes on it. I know some other things that have happened. I know Looney, who was on the bench from Seattle Surge and played at the beginning of the year, he announced his retirement, which was a big deal too. Sad. But he's different than Formula because he's not really into the content that much, so he's looking to be in for a coaching position. Yeah, which I think that'd be great because he's got such a mind for COD. So I think any team would be very smart to pick him up, whether it's their head coach or some sort of coach in any position possible.
Yeah, and I know we mainly focused on like OpTic because
those are the big moves.
Big moves. Yeah, OpTic, Dallas. We touched upon like the bottom like 4 teams, but I also want to say like I wrote down a long running list of players that have been dropped. Yeah, and there's some big names here. I'll just point out some that like haven't been signed: Octane, Bristini, Classic, Gunless, like Aqua, Vivid,
John.
Yeah, John.
Actually, we don't totally know about John yet, but John took LA Thieves out of his name, out of his bio, so we can only assume.
Like Apathy, Assault, Silly. We don't know about
Mentals.
Slasher.
Yeah, Slasher, and we don't know about Mentals too. I don't know if he's going to compete next year.
Yeah,
in COD or what his deal is.
Yeah, but those are just some like really big names. Temp too, like he's a free agent. Like all these guys, big name players.
Yeah, there's so many of these guys, and I'm sure there's so many more right now. People who are unrestricted or restricted free agents. Yeah, and we don't know about. We have no idea where they're going.
Yeah, like I would imagine Slasher's probably going to be a free agent. We don't know yet. That's the most interesting thing. Like all these players, they know what's happening already for the most part.
Yeah,
but we don't. Yeah. And when all the news comes out, it's going to be quick.
Yeah, it's gonna. All these changes are going to happen really quick. And. It's just great because every year now, from last year to this year, we're going to see some way different stuff happening.
Yeah. Way different
stuff. Like people didn't think that Empire would change or FaZe would change or maybe OpTic would be or Ultra too. Yeah. But we're hearing rumors about Ultra making a change. FaZe, I for sure is not making a change. Again, be shocked if they did. Yeah. Dallas, they obviously have made a change. Yeah. So there's going to be some big shakeups. With going forward, what happens? I have no idea.
Yeah, I don't either. And as the league
makes it fun.
As the league develops, I hope one day the teams stay consistent. Not the players, but I'm saying like the actual teams in general. Yeah. Because it is the first. Going into year 3, this is kind of confusing for new new viewers and listeners. Right. Which is why we're here. To break things down.
Exactly.
But I know, the first year with Huntsman, Hex's team, and then Hex getting ownership of OpTic, and now Hex is technically trying to sell his ownership again. Like
it's a nightmare.
It's really confusing, right, for new people. So we're trying to break it down as simple as possible.
Exactly.
But I'm hoping eventually, a few years down the line, like these teams are set, like locked in, these locations and stuff. So.
Yeah, it's early days of the CDL, so it's not surprising that we're getting a lot of these big shifts. Yeah, as the scene evolves and new teams come in. It's gonna. I would imagine it's gonna be like this for a few years. We're gonna see a lot of big shifts until it hopefully grows in popularity and it's a lot more settled. Yeah, and not the wild west where everything literally happens on Twitter.
It takes years to develop, right?
Yeah, decades.
NFL, NBA. Those teams like Seattle Sonic, that's not a team anymore. Yeah, or the Houston Oilers, not a team anymore. Like all these teams are going to change, but hopefully one day the teams will just settle down and that's the team.
Yeah. No, exactly.
And we can go on and on about like a bunch of other rumors and like possible expansion and all this stuff, but we'll save that for next couple episodes because we're going to be covering all this stuff.
Yeah, and hopefully as some of those other things that we're talking about, we can go in depth more as more news comes out about it. So make sure to keep up with us on Twitter.
Yeah.
As we are definitely going to try to be updating as best we can, keeping you guys informed with all these crazy changes because it can become quite a hornet's nest to navigate.
It becomes crazy. So if you want just like a quick snapshot of stuff.
The Cliff Notes.
Yeah, the Cliff Notes. Yeah. We'll be there. And we'll just, update everyone.
Exactly.
Quick news. But if you want like more in-depth like analysis, go listen to the Flank.
Yeah, definitely.
Because those guys, they're on top of their stuff. They do emergency flanks when they hear like crazy news. They're live like right away.
Yeah, and they definitely have a lot of good insight, being former players and people who are really locked into it. So it's good to get that take from it, and then to come listen and hear our own take on it. As people who
the casual side
have no input into it, or we don't have any plugs or hearing any early stuff here.
Yeah, it's just us trying to figure out what's actually
what the hell's going on with the scene.
Yeah. But shift a little bit before we end it. We can talk about this for like a couple minutes. But
sure.
The Call of Duty Alpha or Vanguard Alpha.
Oh yeah, that thing that came out. Yeah.
we played that one night. It was. I mean, I thought it was fun. Champions Hill, that game mode, like that was really fun.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping the new setting in World War II, when this game comes out, it'll be a good game. But there's some bugs. As expected, that's why it's an alpha.
Bro, that bug that I had, what the hell was that? That was ridiculous. Yeah, I loaded into the game and like the all the stuff introducing like the devs and all
audio.
that, like that was fine. But then when I get to the main like cutscene in the intro and then at the main menu, bro, the audio was just faded, and then the whole game too.
Yeah,
it was unplayable. You couldn't hear anything. I have no idea what that was. But then I went and closed it and it restarted. That's strange. Yeah. I mean, like, you get it's the alpha and all that stuff, but that's just a weird bug to happen.
Yeah. Because, that bug didn't happen to me.
No.
But, like, in-game stuff, I mean, spawns, wacky. I kind of expected that. Like, spawns usually get fixed, like, throughout the year.
Yeah.
For example, spawned in, I can literally see the enemy across, like we're looking at each other.
Yeah.
So first one, whoever has better connection and can shoot straight wins that gunfight.
Yeah.
Which that happened like a lot. That's kind of annoying.
Yeah.
And I don't know, there are a couple like annoying things, but for the most part, like I had fun playing it.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, it's a good game. I wasn't crazy about about Modern Warfare. The engine itself, it's okay. It'll definitely grow on me. It was more just that game as a whole that was frustrating because I didn't like the maps.
Yeah.
And it just had a lot of things that were frustrating about it.
Yeah. I'm hoping. I'm not a big fan of tactical sprint, where you have to double press.
Tap. Yeah, that bothers me.
L trigger, because my freaking L trigger is gonna break.
Dude, legit. Yeah, my stick's gonna fall off.
Yeah,
I'm gonna have to be buying controllers every 5 days.
But hopefully, I mean, I don't have a big problem with the Modern Warfare engine. Like, I don't mind it. I hate tactical sprint. I just don't like that. But I'm sure once we transition off Cold War into the Vanguard, it'll be fine.
Yeah.
Hopefully the maps that come out are good. We like them. I think that's a big part, liking the maps. But overall, it was good. I mean, we only played for one day. First game, we loaded in, we won.
Yeah, and that was the first game where my audio was absolutely busted.
Yeah. But we didn't get to play all that much because we were focusing on Cold War. Season's not over yet for us.
No, so we're almost done with that. We're at like 165, somewhere around there, 170.
Trying to hit 200.
Range. So we're still on the hustle there.
Yeah. We got to close that out. We can't come up short.
Nah, there's no doubt we'll close it out.
Yeah,
we got so many days left.
We got one more season left in Cold War, which is crazy.
Yeah.
So we got to grind that out, and that'll lead us into the new Call of Duty.
Yeah. We'll hit 200 for season 6, and then we can wipe our hands clean and be done. And be pumped that we did it.
Yeah, we did it, and then move on to the new game.
Yeah.
But that was just like short little recap of like we thought.
Yeah,
about
not much news
Vanguard.
on Vanguard since it's the alpha.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's good. It's not great. It's to be expected though. It's not the full game.
Yeah, and we're personally playing on PS4s because we can't find PS5s.
Yeah,
and
they are rare.
Yeah, they're very rare.
And I'm not going to shell out $750 for a goddamn PlayStation 5.
Yeah.
It's not happening.
I'm hoping I can find one by the end of the year, honestly. Because
You know what's crazy? You say that, but that's still rare.
Yeah, it's still rare.
Like,
yeah,
if you got one this year, that'd be nuts.
Yeah.
I'd be mind blown.
Yeah. I want one by the end of the year, like around like the holiday season, like everyone else. But like, I mean, it's just gonna run better on the PS5.
Yeah, facts.
This is true. I mean, it's probably gonna run way better on PC, but I'm not shelling out money for a PC.
No, I'm not ready for that yet.
Yeah, not ready yet. But yeah, so hopefully we can get that to happen like the end of the year. I'll keep you guys updated about that. I'm gonna look for a PS5.
Yeah,
I'm gonna try to find one.
Brother, I've tried to look. It's Scam City.
I don't look like all the time, so
No, I don't either. But I look on. And it's scammy. It's pretty scummy.
Well, I'm hoping to just get one like instead. Like I'm not gonna go buy it at a resale value.
No, well that's what we want, right? Is I just want to go get one at a freaking Best Buy or go to a GameStop. I just want to walk in and buy one.
Yeah,
you know.
Well, if there's one like at Best Buy or Amazon, like if there was one today, like I'm buying it.
Yeah,
like I don't even think about it.
Like, no, exactly. But that's the problem. Is just not, you know, like. If there was a Best Buy that had one, or they had like multiples in stock and they weren't like a race to get over there, like I'm gonna go get one.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's not at all that. It's like they're rare Pokemons.
Yeah,
you can't even get them.
Hopefully we can find one by the end of the year. Or something.
Right. On that depressing note.
Yeah, but I think that's all we. I mean, that was a lot of information.
Yeah,
guys.
a ton. So we hope you guys sticked with it throughout the whole thing and the rants and the. You know, and our opinions on what we think might happen. Again, all spitballing. Let us know what you think on Twitter or on YouTube. You know, following us there. Let us know if we're absolutely faded. If you agree, disagree.
Yeah, let us know, and we're gonna keep providing updates in these episodes. I know it's only once a week, but we're gonna try to cover like as much as we can in these episodes.
Exactly.
Just jump right in.
Yeah,
because we want everyone to know about these roster changes and all the drama that's happening.
Yeah, exactly.
But all right, remember to follow us on YouTube, like, comment, subscribe. We're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, all that jazz.
Right, Anchor.fm at the COD Casuals. That's where you'll find everything for us, all the platforms.
We've been active on Twitter, so follow us, tweet at us. We're always tweeting. Again, we want to make this Rostermania simple as possible for new listeners and viewers. Mm-hmm. So if you follow us, we'll give you the Cliff Notes, Spark Notes, all that. So, but I think that's it.
I think that's it too, yeah.
All right. Well, this has been episode 29 of the COD Casual, guys. I'm your host, Justin.
And I'm Mike.
And we will see you guys next week.
Take it easy.
Peace.